Hey, welcome back guys, it's Molton, and in this video we're going to be looking at exactly how you should play with the black pieces against the Vienna game. A fairly popular opening, especially at the tournament and club levels. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you can get notifications every time I upload a new video. Alright, let's get started and I hope you guys enjoy. The Vienna starts out after the move e4, e5, knight c3, knight f6. Here white has two main options between bishop c4 and the pawn move f4. Firstly we'll look at f4. We should counter straight away with the move d5 in the center. And here white has two main pawn recaptures, one on e5 and one on d5. Firstly we'll look at pawn takes d5. And here once again black has three main moves and all of them are perfectly playable, so you can really take your pick on which one you prefer. Either pawn takes f4, knight takes d5, or the last move, which is the one I would recommend since it leads to the most interesting positions where black has the best chances to play for a win, is the pawn move pawn to e4, simply trying to stop white's development of knight to f3 and temporarily sacrificing the pawn. Here, in order to get rid of the pawn and challenge the center, white should continue with the move pawn to d3. And here we can finish our development on the king side with the move bishop to b4, bishop to d2. And here white has a very interesting pawn sacrifice to continue his initiative. And that's the move pawn to e3, which I would recommend in this position. After bishop takes e3, black can simply castle. We're 2 pawns down in this position, but we have sufficient counterplay since white is yet to finish his development. After bishop to d2, we can follow up with rook e8 check, bishop e2, and here the main move continues bishop takes e3, pawn takes c3, knight takes d5, followed by queen f6 attacking f4 and c3. However, black also has a very interesting move in this position, and that's the move bishop to c5, not played very often, but one that I believe might lead to some interesting positions, and something worth considering if you get into this position. Back to move 4, the main response for white here is to play f takes e5, after which black should respond knight takes e4. White has the choice between either knight f3 or d3. If knight f3, then my favorite moves are simply knight c6, or bishop to c5, threatening to bring a piece into f2, and if white responds with d4, then we can follow up with bishop to b4, maintaining our strong knight on e4. If instead white plays the move d3, then the most important thing here for black is not to fall into the trap of playing queen h4 check, since the complications get fairly messy, and I believe that they favor white. Instead, we can simply take the knight on c3, and after pawn takes c3, follow up with a very important move in this position, and that is the move pawn to d4. d4 is a very good move for black, since it stops white from playing the move d4, developing his light squared bishop as well as maintaining a strong pawn chain in the center. White should play the move knight to f3, black can play the move knight c6, bishop e2, and here black has two main options, both perfectly playable. One is bishop c5, and after castles, taking the pawn on c3 with check, king h1, and simply castling. So here black will most likely lose the pawn on c3, but will gain some time for it. The other option, back on move 8, is the move bishop to e7, which is the far safer option since in many positions black will guard against white playing the move bishop to g5. And let's say play might continue after castles, and we can follow up with the move f6, challenging white's pawn in the center next move, with no real problems for black. So that's it for the move 3 f4, and now let's take a look at the move bishop to c4 instead. After white plays bishop c4, there's a tactic in this position for you to remember as black, and that's the move knight takes e4. The idea being that after white takes back, we can follow up with the move d5, forking the two pieces in the center and regaining our sacrificed material. If instead white tries the move bishop takes f7, we can simply take it with our king, knight takes e4, and follow up with the move pawn to d5. Don't worry so much about our king looking slightly weak, since all the responses white has in this position don't lead to anything special. For example, after the move queen to h5, check, we can follow up with the move pawn to g6, and if white tries to take the pawn on e5, then we can simply follow up with the move bishop to h6, picking up a piece in the process, since the knight has no good squares and rook e8 is coming next move. If instead white tries to play the move queen to f3, then black can follow up with the move king to g8. Don't worry so much about our king, since in return for the slightly weakened king temporarily, we have a very strong pawn center. We have the two bishops, and as soon as we start kicking white's pieces backwards, we're going to be able to, in a way, artificially castle our king to safety. Here white has a very tricky move, and that's the move knight to g5. The idea being that if we take the knight, then white can simply take the pawn on d5, giving us checkmate. Also, white is threatening queen to f7 check. So in order to guard against these threats, black should play the move queen to d7. But now white doesn't have a good response to continue the attack, and next move we will follow up with the move h6. For example, knight e2, h6, knight h3, and here black can simply play the move knight to c6. And slowly but surely, our long-term advantages are coming into play in this position. Instead, the best move for white on move 4 is the move queen to h5, counter-attacking the pawn on f7 as well as the pawn on e5. And the only way to defend against all the threats here for black is to play the move knight to d6. White can follow up with bishop to b3. And here I suggest we play the move bishop to e7, looking to castle as quickly as possible. White has two main responses here, and after which I believe black is doing fine. The first one is queen takes e5, after which we can simply castle without any major problems. The other one is knight to f3, after which I believe we can both castle kingside or play the move knight to c6. So for example, knight to c6, let's say white takes the pawn on e5, we can throw in the move g6, and after knight takes c6, pawn takes c6, queen f3 for example, we can simply castle with a very nice position for black. Okay, well that concludes our video on the Vienna as black. I hope you learned something useful, and if you want me to do more specific opening videos, feel free to drop me a comment below. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.